Hey folks, welcome back to the workshop. Today's video is all about the electric setup. I'm not going to be doing the wiring as such, but I'm doing all the prep and getting things ready. So stick around and we'll make a start. So the plan for the wiring is to have it fairly future-proof and also go for more than what I need, because we all know that we never have enough sockets. Alright, so what I've gone for is similar to the stuff I used on the top floor in the office, in the house. It's essentially a bit like you'd have in a commercial environment. This is going to be on the wall, like so. All of our cables and everything is going to be in there, and all of our boxes sit in this centre section. So what I want to do, remember we've got a nice gap behind all of our beams because we've counterbacked the outside of the frame. So it means I can just sit a bit of the dado section in between every bay. I need to pick up some screws. No, I don't. I think I've got enough. So we can probably just use some self-tapping screws straight on. Right, the centre panel we don't need at this point because I don't really know where I'm going to put the sockets yet. That's not the important bit. The important bit is the actual base unit. I'm pretty sure you can get a much more compact version than this. But the one reason I went for this one is because the top is on an angle, it's chamfered, so it means that all of the dust and anything else that's in the shop as stuff lands on it, it's not going to just sit, it's just one less horizontal surface. And I'm also not going to be tempted to use it as a ledge to sit things on, which we all know will happen. For now, let's cut one section as a test. And I want them nice and snug. You can get an end cap for them, which could be neater, but I don't really want to use those if I don't need to. Let's get the laser measure. So, we're at that point there. .1757. I'm going to try it on the mitre saw, not that that blade's any good. Well, that seemed to work pretty well and nice and square. Let's see how it works. I've got a couple of mil over so we can always creep up on the cut. I think I've worked out I can use the offcut of each 3 metre length for the small sections, that way we don't have any joins. If you do have a longer length, longer than 3 metres, then you just have to get the joining caps. What I've done is set a laser up on that windowsill. That basically puts the top of our trunking at 10, the bottom of our trunking ends up at 105 or a little bit higher than that. So if we've got a 900 worktop or a little bit less, it's got a bit of clearance there, but it's not high enough that it's going to interrupt with shelving. If I do shelve top to bottom, I'm either going to have cabinets above, or if I do a whole bay of shelving, I'll just have this as between one of the shelves, and then I can always have chargers on one of the shelves if need be. It would appear that I'm wrong, very wrong. This isn't the same profile as what I've used in the office. It does have a nice horizontal ledge and it will gather junk. But I've cut it up now, so we're stuck with what we got, but never mind. It's certainly more bulky than I need it to be. I do wonder though, because it's completely separate, you could potentially put the airline, if I would put a compressor in that corner, maybe put that around. I don't know if that's safe or not, but anyway. Do you know, it was probably only 2 years ago when I was still using spirit levels for this sort of thing, and going around all these posts, it's just amazing how much a tiny little bit of kit like this can change things. Whereas I did have the laser distance finder when I laid out the slab, that's why it was nice and square, just wasn't level. That is another great bit of kit, especially if you're measuring wall to wall or inside posts. So again, I'll put that in the tool list down below. Right, that's nearly all of the trunking done. What I've done is left the centre panel over there, or the centre bay, because I've got a slightly different format for that area. But I've got one last section to do over here, and then I'm going to try and build the charging station, whatever that might look like. Right, so all along this side, it's going to be a fixed kind of set of units, workbench height. But the centre, I think this is where I'll make a feature wall, both for videos and just if it's where I've got the main workbench area. So I think for that area, rather than having that white trunking run along it, I'll clad all that. I'm going to put a timber section in there, and we can just run it along the back of that, so I'll counterbatten things off the back, and then just put some nice sockets into that wall. I don't really need, I mean, either side of that bay, a lead will be able to reach, so perhaps I don't need any sockets there at all, to be honest. Right, so my idea for this corner, or certainly on this wall, is I've got to get a consumer unit in here because we're having a completely separate system in here from the house. Hoping that's enough space. It doesn't need to be a massive board. So I'm going to put a panel, like a plywood panel, just paint it white. I've got 25mm recess behind these, and there's a way I can fix that there. So this will be a charging station. With these dado trunking, from what I did up in the office, it's always better, although I could probably just about get 5 of these in here. One, I don't need 5, but it's always better to have a little bit of the strip in between, and it's just a bit neater. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll sort that out when we come to actually, when the electrician's doing the wiring. Then I'm thinking I'm going to put a shelf in lower down so all of the chargers can sit there, and they can all label them up so it's all nice and organised. And then from there, I just need to decide whether I'm going to put tool storage on this wall. The idea is to have either shutters or sliding doors, and then all of the shelving between the posts. So probably not here, it'll probably be down the other end. But I guess I don't really need the batteries to be exactly where the tools are. Let me show you what else I need to do. Right, now we need to talk lighting, and I probably need your help. So the original plan for the workshop was to put LED flat panels up, normal panels that you would drop into an office ceiling, 600 by 600, or you can get them slightly bigger, run them in long strips either side of the beam. The only thing is, because of the slope of our ceiling, they both end up kind of angled into the centre, unless we put a batten on here and sit them square. It might be enough to distribute it, you know, across the room. But if I'm working on the outside stations, then I'm going to create a shadow over my workpiece. So I might run either side of the ridge, secured to the ridge rather than the ceiling, battens. That way it's kind of sending out sideways. I'm going to have a couple of studio lights on here anyway, independent lighting for filming, but I still need to think about how I'm going to light the perimeter of the workshop. So I could put another batten around the outside, or even the flat panels, you can get them in 300 wide as well, and run that along. I just feel like it might look a little bit glary because when you come in, don't really want to see the lights. Next I'm thinking I've got my recess up behind my beams, which is 25mm, plenty of space there for an LED strip or rope. The strips, I mean, you can get higher output ones. I don't want it to look tacky. I wasn't going to light behind all the beams. I think it just looks a bit naff. But if I put them just at the top and it's lighting down this white wall although this may not be white, the majority of the walls will then have like a glow, and they'll be independent from the other lighting. Anyway, I'm going to hand it over to you guys and maybe pick it up in the comment section below what you would do. The lighting on the outside of the building I'm pretty much decided on now. We've got a board matching where our posts are. They're going to have a light on. So there'll be one by the door, one on this one, and then in the far corner, on this corner, I'm actually going to put a floodlight on the back corner, which you won't be able to see from anywhere, but it means I can flick a switch over there or even from within the studio, and it will floodlight the chicken pen and the veg patch, which just means in the winter evenings it's easy enough to go down and do things down there, and it will also light access down to the bottom shed, which is where all the gear and tools and materials are going to be kept that I don't want to clutter this space. Now, once I've got the ins and outs of exactly what we're putting in as far as the electric supply and the setup, I will share that with you guys. But as far as I'm aware from conversations I've had, it's a 16mm that we're going to bring over from the main house. It will be independent from that consumer unit, I think. So it will come direct in here. It's not going to be trenched in because I haven't decided what I'm doing at the back of the house, and the last thing I want to do is be messing around with it in 6 months' time. So I'm going to bring it over on a cable for now, a catenary wire, into the building here and straight into the consumer unit. That means everything's independent from the house. It also means that, of course, if anything trips out here, it's not going to mess up CBBC inside. I'm going to get on and work out how many boxes I need and where I want them, and then we can cover that when we come to the actual wiring. But for now, I'm going to leave it there. I think this is a good solution for what I need, but of course there are loads of other options. I could have run everything in conduit and made a feature of the conduit coming down to each of the posts and a socket on each. The reason I haven't done that is I'm running a central vacuum system, and I think most of the posts will have a ducting coming down for the extraction, and it would just get a bit cluttered if I started doing sockets and the extraction. So I think keeping the sockets and wiring and cabling all in one location all the way around the building is the answer, he says. And if I haven't mentioned it, this beam will also have power on it. It'll just come across in some steel conduit, and there'll be a couple of boxes, a couple of sockets up there. But this is going to be my Swiss Army beam. It's going to have studio lighting. It's going to have extraction, air supply, and power on it. So it's kind of all there, all on one side. So it's kind of hidden as we come in. Anyway, if I have missed anything, stick it down in the comments below. It'd be great to start hearing anyone's tips for what they've got in their workshops, and of course the lighting situation. Love to hear your thoughts on that. But thank you for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time. This beam is going to have extraction, power, air, and extraction. Did I say extraction twice? This beam is going